Hello, in this video, I am going to walk you through how to search databases through the UNE Library services and how in searching these databases, you'll be able to locate journal articles that will be relevant to the many different projects and papers that you'll be completing, not only in this course, but throughout your time in the MSAN program. So let's get started. So first of all, I do have in front of me the UNE Library Services homepage. To get here, you can always Google search, do UNE Library, or you can enter library.une.edu into your web browser. Once you get to this homepage, you will see this general search box. And what I want to advise is to not use this when you are trying to locate primary or even if it's secondary journal articles, articles that are published in your different peer-reviewed journals. If you enter searches into this search area, it is not going to necessarily narrow into focusing on the types of articles that we want you to use in your assignments. There are ways to conduct a more advanced search and to filter the search parameters, but I would really advise skipping this unless you have developed a lot of skill or been advised by one of the research librarians on how to use this tool effectively. Otherwise, I would advise skipping it and going directly to the specific databases that you want to search. So down here is where you can click to gain a listing of the different scientific databases that are available for searching and locating articles. You can also get to those databases up here. So this top menu bar, if you hover over or even click on library resources, and then you can click on databases. So there's a couple different ways to get to that database list. So either up here, library resources, and then databases, or even just on this homepage, clicking on databases. When you click on that link, you will be taken to a through W list of database titles. So right now, this page has all of the different A databases. And I do want to mention that these databases are not just going to be always for scientific journal articles. I had mentioned that a little bit earlier and said for searching for scientific journal articles, which is one of the primary reasons you would search databases. But there are other databases here that throughout this course, throughout other courses, the faculty may direct you to other databases for other reasons. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to focus on ones that you can search to locate journal articles that you need as references for your different assignments. So I'm going to click through a few of these different letters to just highlight some of the different databases that you may find helpful when it comes to the nutrition, health, medical side of academia. So starting here on the A page, one option is Academic OneFile, and also Academic Search Complete. Those can be databases you may find helpful to use. If I go to C, CINAHL Complete is one. This one does tend to be more nursing focused, but it is technically nursing and allied health. And I would say too, in the allied health space, not always as focused on nutrition, but there can be relevant nutrition and dietetics type articles that you can find. Clinical Key is a good one. That's a good database, as well as any of the Cochrane collections. And really, Cochrane Collection Plus or Cochrane Database of Systematic Reviews, those are going to be very helpful, especially if you are trying to locate a systematic review on your topic. I'm going to actually click down here to P. So I just highlighted a few really quickly in the health and nutrition space. My favorite and one that you will likely use the most, I think it's pretty much anybody that is in the nutrition, science, health science, medical fields will utilize first and foremost PubMed. It is going to be the most comprehensive and inclusive. And if you scroll down, you're going to find PubMed Medline and PubMed Central. And you do want to access through PubMed Medline. This is going to give you a more robust and comprehensive search feature for locating relevant articles. Not only what we call open access articles or the ones that are free to access, but also will help for accessing ones that are available through the journals that UNE holds in its collection. And I do want to highlight that if you are wanting to gain access to an article that is not open access or free of charge, it's one that requires a subscription to the journal in which it is published. You will have to go through the UNE library here when accessing PubMed. So if you just type PubMed into your search browser and go direct to PubMed, it will not give you the option for accessing the articles that, again, UNE holds in its journal collection. So sometimes students will ask me that and say, do I have to pay, $50 for this article? Do I have to pay $500 to get the journal subscription to get the article I want? And the answer is no. If you go through the UNE library through this process, it will either link you directly to that article if it's one in UNE's collection, or you could always request it through the interlibrary loan system. And that interlibrary loan system isn't a guarantee you'll be able to gain access to it, but many times, most times, if you have an interlibrary loan request, you'll be able to obtain it. So we're going to click here on PubMed Medline, and you will get a password, a username and password to log into the system. So again, the system wants to verify that you are actually associated with UNE. So you will need to type in your username and password to gain access. And that's another checkpoint to say, am I actually accessing PubMed the right way to be able to gain access to those articles held in UNE's collection? So here I am on the PubMed homepage for searching. And there are a number of videos linked in the course, as well as even available here. So if you go to Learn, this Learn area, there's a lot of great articles and even video tutorials to really help you develop your search skills. So I will say it does take some time. It takes some practice to really hone those skills. And so we have provided you with a number of resources. And again, even here on the PubMed page, you can click around and locate resources for that. But I'm just going to conduct a quick search here. So I'm going to pretend that I am writing a paper about the benefits versus considerations of prescribing a vegetarian diet for a patient that has chronic kidney disease. Okay, so I am going to type into my search bar, vegetarian diet and chronic kidney disease, and I'm going to hit search. And here at the top, typically PubMed will provide you with articles they think will be the closest match. And a lot of these are also typically free. So when it says free PMC, that's PubMed Central, that means it's an open access article. You don't have to have a subscription to the journal. It's available directly online. So I will click on one of these to show you what that looks like. So if we clicked on this first one, Association of Vegetarian Diet with Chronic Kidney Disease, over here are the areas where you can link out to the entire full text of the article. So typically on the PubMed page, you're just going to see the title, authors, affiliation, other publication information, as well as some of your reference citation information, what the journal is, the year that it's published, the volume, or excuse me, that's the date. We're going to bypass that. The volume, the issue, and page number or page numbers. Also abstract information. So abstract is really just a brief paragraph summary of the entire article. And that's just helpful to give you a general overview, but you really need to read the entire article to understand what is going on. So over here are different links. So either A, you could just link to it through UNE Library, but there is a direct free text here through PubMed Central. And then even the journal that it's published in, Nutrients, is a open access journal. So you could actually access it direct through the journal's website. But I'm going to click here on that free full text through PubMed Central, and the entire article is going to be provided here. If you like to save it to your computer, read it as a PDF, you can go over here and click on PDF and download a PDF. So I'm going to click out of that, and I'm going to back up. And we're going to go to one that is not a free article. So again, there's a lot of these free PMC articles. So if you see any of these free PMC, that means those are free of charge, open access. You can access those directly. But let's scroll down to one that is not a free article. So say that this article catches your eye, and you read the abstract and you say, oh, this article sounds like one that I could benefit from. This may help me with my project. Over here, there are free text, full text links. So either you can go direct to the journal, or I really recommend just going directly through UNE Libraries, because that's going to take you exactly to the subscription that UNE holds. Or if it doesn't have it, it will give you an option for interlibrary loan. So I'm going to click on that UNE Library link, and it is thinking. And it found it. It located it in UNE's holdings, and it took me directly to that journal article. So again, I see the title, I see the authors, I see the journal name, the volume, issue, year of publication, page number. So all of that information can be really helpful, and even the DOI, all that can be helpful as you're putting your citation together. Here I have the abstract. And then if I scroll all the way through that entire article, that information is all provided to me. And then also, typically, somewhere on the page, there'll be a PDF. So if I want to actually download it as a PDF, I can click on that. You might get an ad pop-up. We're going to click off of that. And here I have the full text article that I can save to my device. I can reference it back later. So having those PDFs can be really helpful, especially to get yourself organized for any of the more major projects that you'll be doing. So that is just a walkthrough tutorial of how to navigate the UNE library database system. Utilize the database system to search, and specifically we took a look at PubMed, how to access free text articles through PubMed, as well as how to access articles that are not free, but that you can still access through the UNE library because they have that journal on file, and then therefore that article. Thanks so much for joining me.